A very good morning, Northeast Ohio. On this warm Sunday morning, I find myself thinking about snow. Not that I'm looking forward to that. No, the snow that I'm thinking of is from March of 2014 when a delegation from Cleveland made its way through a snowstorm to Washington, D.C. to make its pitch for the Republican National Convention. Why it popped into my mind was the announcement this week from Sherwin Williams that they may move their global headquarters out of Cleveland and possibly out of Ohio for that matter. The RNC connection comes in because when Cleveland made its pitch on that snowy afternoon, one of the heavy hitters was then Sherwin Williams CEO Chris Connor.
We started by giving them O'Malley espresso chocolate beans to get them fired up a little bit, so we had them on the edge of their seats.
Fortune 500 companies bring so much more than jobs and tax revenue to a community. They bring clout. Connor's pitch that day that the corporate community could raise the $60 million needed to host the convention went a long way. They've also been a company that Senator Sherrod Brown said gave homegrown talent a place to come home to.
Sherwin Williams has been an iconic Cleveland company. I remember going there 4 or 5 years ago and I met with so many young, vibrant, professional employees that had come back to Cleveland, with a chemistry degree or with some kind of marketing degree that wanted to work for that company.
And be sure we will be following that Sherwin Williams decision-making process closely. Well, it's not a Fortune 500 company, but has the impact of one. NASA Glenn. The Research Center has seen its budget and its role in the space agency grow rapidly ahead of the Artemis mission to return to the moon by 2024. That's why it came as a surprise this week when Center Director and former astronaut Janet Kavandi announced she was retiring. We talked to her earlier this year about the aggressive challenge.
It's a little ahead of our planned schedule, so we're going to be putting ourselves into accelerated mode, but all this testing is going to make that possible.
Kavandi was an astronaut on 3 space shuttle flights. Her retirement will be at the end of the month. No replacements have been named. Well, Ohio is on the clock. The Democrats met this week for their latest debate in Texas, but the next one will be held next month right here in the Buckeye State. This week I had a chance to sit down and talk with Ohio Democratic Chair David Pepper about that. What does it say about Ohio that we are hosting the next debate?
It's a great question. It says a lot. There's been this talk about after last November, largely from the coast. Oh, Ohio is more red than ever. It's going to be a red state. It's not a toss-up state. The debate coming here shows that the National Democrats disagree with that, as they should.
I was looking at the numbers from 2016 before you came in, and Trump's margin of victory in the state was 446,000. But I was looking at what Hillary Clinton's numbers were compared to Obama's in 2012, and she underperformed them by 433,000, only a 13,000 vote difference. Yeah. How do you address that enthusiasm gap?
So in Ohio, there's a big debate in the Democratic Party. Do we go for our most loyal supporters in our urban areas, or do we talk to people who voted for Trump and Obama and share it? And there are a lot of people who voted for Obama, Trump, and shared. Do we go to rural Ohio and make sure we reduce those losses? And in Ohio, the truth is, you got to do all of it if you want to win. One of the biggest differences between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in Ohio one was enthusiasm in our cities, but another was that he lost rural Ohio, the smallest 50 counties, 60-40. Cuyahoga County alone overcame those 50 smallest counties. Hillary Clinton lost those same 50 counties, 73-27. She lost them by 400,000 votes. There are not enough Democrats to overcome that.
So the lessons learned for Democrats from 2016 is the importance of campaigning beyond those 3 C's of Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Well, speaking of campaigns, there is one being waged on our airways right now. You're probably seeing the ads, but this is a campaign to prevent a campaign. Dyer doesn't begin to describe the tone of the ads now playing across Ohio.
The Chinese government is quietly invading our American electric grid, intertwining themselves financially in our energy infrastructure.
Now, to be clear, President Xi is not amassing troops with extension cords off the shores of Lake Erie, ready to storm the gates of Perry Nuclear or Cleveland Public Power. Now, this warning is, in simple terms, a good old-fashioned American political ad.
It is. So you go negative, you go dark, you try to project simple images that get people's attention, particularly about an issue that nobody's really following.
It's an offshoot of this year's fight over HB 6, the so-called nuclear bailout bill that benefited the new owners of the Perry and Davis-Besse nuclear plants while weakening incentives for renewable power. Those who want to overturn HB 6 are collecting signatures to put the question before voters in 2020. Where China comes into play is the fact that several natural gas projects in Ohio have reportedly legally borrowed money from the state-controlled Bank of China. So if those companies benefit from the repeal of HB 6, the Bank of China could benefit, and they argue invade our electric grid.
So this idea that a Chinese bank is somehow financing this as a way to wiggle their way into somehow having financial control over our energy system is a very clear and compelling story to get people not only to not vote for this if it gets on the ballot, but I've never seen before to actually go after people who have the petitions to sign to get it on the ballot.
And to be clear, any information you would put on a petition is already public record as a registered voter. With Democracy 2019, I'm John Kosich. Enjoy your Sunday.